Akhilesh Pratap Singh of the Congress is also with us on this broadcast. Mr. Akhilesh Pratap Singh, what do you have to say about the fact that Mr. Jagdeep Dhankhar has decided to step down as Vice President?
Till 5:45, I was there in his office. और केवल मैं नहीं बल्कि प्रमोद तिवारी जी, जयराम रमेश जी, सब हम लोग थे साथ में। तो तबीयत की तो ऐसी कोई बात नहीं थी। जस्टिस वर्मा का इम्पीचमेंट वाले ये पे कुछ देर बात होती रही, और ये तो शॉकिंग है कि ऐसे सिचुएशन में इतने अच्छे व्यक्ति एकदम स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड बात करने वाले हम लोगों के लिए भी शॉकिंग है, सबके लिए शॉकिंग है।
बिल्कुल। Akhilesh Pratap Singh ji, thank you for joining us. So you heard there from most of the Rajya Sabha MPs, leaders who've interacted with Jagdeep Dhankhar, that this has come as an absolute shock and a jolt for them out of the blue. Because while Mr. Dhankhar, yes, was ailing, there was no hint whatsoever that he was looking to step aside. There was no hint whatsoever that he would be resigning effective immediately, as he puts it in that letter. Taking this back across to Piyush. Piyush, my apologies for interrupting you earlier. Go ahead.
Well, Akshita, for the benefit of our viewers, let us also focus on the point about the today's proceedings, today's meetings those took place. At one side, we already were witnessing what was happening in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, but backdoor, we were also seeing how a series of meetings took place. We also saw Kiran Rijiju, Arjuna Meghwal, L. Murugan, they all meeting Home Minister Amit Shah, and then we also saw Home Minister Amit Shah, JP Nadda holding meeting. After that, Rajnath Singh was also part of different meetings. So multiple meetings have taken place throughout the day, and till 8 p.m. Till 8 p.m., we saw all leaders, top leaders of the government were there in the Parliament House, and they were holding multiple deliberations. And after that, a couple of minutes back, we are now hearing as to how Vice President Jagdeep Dhankhar has put down his papers. But also, it's important to highlight that he has resigned on health grounds. And in the last few days, we were also seeing how he was in and out of the hospital. He also fell ill during his last visit to the state of Uttarakhand. We were also talking to various people in his office, and they were also telling us as to how Jagdeep Dhankhar, feels discomfort if he sits for more than 2 to 3 hours on the chair. So, looking at that, he has now put down his papers. But Narendra Modi government is the government which is known for throwing surprises. And now, when Jagdeep Dhankhar has resigned as the Vice President of India, we will see a new, fresh, veteran face from the BJP, and now there's a process which will be followed. Now this letter has been sent to the President of India. After she accepts it, the process for the election of new Vice President of India will begin. But meanwhile, we already know that the Parliament session is there, and meanwhile the election of Vice President takes place. We can expect the Deputy Chairman of Rajya Sabha, Harivansh Singh, to take over as the chair of Rajya Sabha Chairman. Meanwhile, the proceedings will also continue. But yes, there's a lengthy process of electing Vice President. A lot of names will be deliberated upon. Dates will be announced. Nominations will be filed, and then we will see the election of Vice President of India.
Piyush, what are your sources telling you? Piyush, what are your government sources telling you? Are they taken aback? Have they also been caught by surprise by this decision by Mr. Dhankhar, or was there some communication given to them that, this is coming?
Well, it is very important to highlight that in Modi government, all decisions are taken after a lot of deliberations and discussions. And certainly, the decision of Vice President Jagdeep Dhankhar putting down his paper has also been taken after multiple deliberations. And most likely, the government would have also finalized on the name of next phase who is going to become the Vice President of India. And remember that we are already hearing the talks of complete change in the Narendra Modi government, and for that new faces will be given, young faces will be given the opportunity. And looking at that, we will also see most likely we will also see the cabinet reshuffle, and that will take place after the election of BJP's national president. So after Jagdeep Dhankhar now put down his paper, we can expect other processes also to be followed. Remember that a lot of names are there already in fray. Senior leaders are there in the Modi government who can take the space, who can take the place of Vice President of India. There will be complete change. That's what the talks are also going on. But it is also important to highlight that the decision of Jagdeep Dhankhar putting down his paper has been taken on his health grounds. He has sent out the official letter to the President of India, and after that letter is accepted, we will see a vacant post
Correct.
of Vice President of India. After that, a lot of processes will be followed for the election of new Vice
So
President.
usually the process is that even if the Vice President chooses to step down, he remains the Vice President till the next VP is chosen, till that process is completed. But in this particular case, Dhankhar has also said to go ahead and relieve him immediately. And that he's mentioned specifically in his letter. Because of health reasons, he goes ahead and says, in accordance with Article 67A of the Constitution, I hereby resign as Vice President of India, effective immediately. There's a huge churn that's expected because now you have the Vice President's post that's vacant. There have already been all of these questions over who will be the BJP President. Piyush tells us in all likelihood we could also be seeing a cabinet reshuffle happening very, very soon. So there's going to be a whole lot of churn, a lot of names perhaps moving around, musical chairs essentially that will be played out in the power centers of the national capital, if you will. But right now, Vice President Jagdeep Dhankhar, and the reason I refer to him as VP Dhankhar is because now we're awaiting that communication from the Rashtrapati Bhavan. The President's office has to formally accept the resignation. And that's when, of course, Dhankhar will step aside. But come tomorrow, Piyush, day 2 of the monsoon session, considering that Dhankhar has dropped this resignation bomb right after day 1 of the monsoon session, what happens tomorrow in Parliament? Is there going to be a lot of suspense over who the chair will be, or is that smoothened out by clear protocol that's established?
Well, no doubt, Akshita, tomorrow leaders from all the political parties are going to talk about this. They are going to focus on other names. So they will be discussing as to what is the reason why Jagdeep Dhankhar has to put down his paper when he was already, running the House very smoothly. He was looking fit and fine on the first day of House. And what led to his resignation? A lot of discussions will take place, but ultimately the chair has to be there. On that particular chair, a person will sit who is going to also conduct the proceedings of House. So sources are suggesting that most likely the deputy leader of Rajya Sabha, Harivansh, will be sitting on the chair. But that depends on as to what happens tomorrow, what decision the government is going to take, what decision Jagdeep Dhankhar is going to take. But everything depends on 11 a.m. tomorrow when the proceedings of Rajya Sabha again resumes. But tomorrow, all political parties are going to discuss upon this. What was the reason? Is the health ground the only reason of Dhankhar putting down his paper? Is there going to be a lot of churn in Modi cabinet? So all these things will certainly be discussed. But according to the norm, we will see that the further decision will be taken only after the final acceptance by the President of India, and after she accepts it, the other processes will be followed. And what is also important to highlight that after the election of a new Vice President, he or she will be elected for the full 5 term. There are still a few years remaining of Dhankhar's term, but the new Vice President will be completing his full five term. Before that, a lot of processes will also be followed.
It's been a very, very sudden announcement that none of us really expected, came completely out of the blue. But the question that will be asked is whether this was sudden for Mr. Dhankhar too. Because you look at the sequence of events or what happened through the evening. At about 6 p.m., you had Dhankhar also as Rajya Sabha chair meeting with several of the opposition members. That was at 6 p.m. 3 hours later, he's resigned, effective immediately. In Parliament, on day 1 of the monsoon session, he chose not just to attend, but to preside over proceedings over the impeachment process of Justice Verma, which is an ongoing process, very clearly. And if today there were developments, there was a clear mention of what would happen tomorrow, to which Mr. Dhankhar said, we will go ahead and ensure a committee is formed. So the messaging almost seemed like Mr. Dhankhar expected he would very much be there tomorrow on day 2 of the monsoon session, for taking those steps forward as far as the impeachment proceedings go. And that's what leads us to question about whether this wasn't just a sudden announcement, a sudden resignation for us, but for Mr. Dhankhar too. many questions. Let's see if we get answers to those in the next 24 hours. But tomorrow, in the monsoon session of Parliament, where we're familiar with seeing Mr. Dhankhar sitting as the Rajya Sabha chair, you will instead have Mr. Harivansh Singh seated there, with Dhankhar stepping down as the Vice President, effective immediately on health grounds.